Welcome, fellow bookworms, to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and today is time for round 7 of Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar, which of course is my TBR game, and we are going to be choosing July's book. So of course I love playing this game each month. I did implement some new rules last month, so if I pull 2 of the same color back to back, I get to move forward 2 of those color spaces. If I pull 3 of the same color within the game, I get to move forward 2 of those color spaces as well. I think that's going to really help make my TBR more manageable. Definitely helped for June's round, so we'll see how that goes. I do have some more prompts to add because I realized I don't have Dumbo in there. And I'm like, how could I forget Dumbo? Granted, Dumbo is not a movie I like to watch because it makes me so sad. So I never really watched it as a kid, and as an adult, I don't really like to watch it. It makes me sad. But I had to add Dumbo, and there were some other just prompts in general that I wanted to add in there as well. So I'm going to show you them, and I'm going to go ahead and add them into the honey jar here. And that way we'll be all ready for gameplay. So first we have, of course, our Dumbo prompts. So first we have elephants in the story or the location. So if they're not in the story, it could just be set in like Africa or Asia, just somewhere where they do have elephants. That would be fine, because while I do have some books with elephants, I think that's going to be kind of a harder prompt. So just the location is fine. I do have several books that would fit this prompt. So we have circus setting. There's a lot of books I have that would work for that one. And then we have conservation or zoology. So just kind of that kind of vibe is what I'm looking at. And then because Dumbo does always make me sad, we have a sad book. So just a book that I think is really gonna hit me hard and get me in the feels. And then the rest of these are just ones that I was interested in adding. I wanted to do a full page, and so I just kind of randomize some online to fulfill the others that I knew I didn't have in here. So this one is one I just wanted to add in general, and it's page number chosen by dice. So I'll roll dice, and then like if it's a 2, it would need to be in the 200 range, like that. Then we have chapter titles. I like this one. So just a book that has chapter titles. I think that's a fun one. We have tarot cards, because I do not have that. That one has been one I wanted to add for a while. And so now it's there. So if I get that one, I'll pull out my tarot deck and they will help me choose my cards. That one's definitely going to be one that's going right back in if I do pull it. I saw this one on somebody's TBR. I don't remember who now. I've watched so many TBR videos already that I don't know, but it is the 5 W's. So who, where, when, what, and why. So just a book with one of those in the title will work for that one. Then this one is always a fun one. I love when channels do this. So we'll do a viewer vote. So I'll give you guys some options and you'll get to vote on which one I will read, which is fun. And featured in a show or movie. I actually think I got this one from Amy at A Star Reads. And so that one, I know like the Gilmore Girls, there's a whole list. But if I've seen it on a show or movie, I could potentially read it. And this one is another one I can't remember. I saw it this month and I cannot remember whose channel I saw it on, but it's a book based on the last thing I watched. I think they did the last TV show. I'm just going to do the last thing I watched because I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so whether it's a movie or maybe if the last thing I watched was a booktube video, I can do it based on that. This one I know where I got from. It was Becca Books and Bujo, and it is TBR in title. I think one of her viewers recommended this prompt to her, and I just loved it. So I had to steal it for my own game because I think that's really fun. This one, a lot of people have this as a prompt, and it's matches top. So I'm going to go with that. I could have done the whole outfit, but I think the top is good enough. So like today, it would need to be like a maroony type color. And this one's a classic as well. Most recent purchase. So that would be a fun one and a good way to get some of the books I'm buying onto my TBR. Then we have Deceased Author. I didn't originally want to do this one, but I was struggling, and I know a lot of people have that as a prompt as well. And it just gives me an opportunity to read some of the authors from the past that I have on my shelves. We also have Backlist Book. So just a book that's a backlist for an author. I have lots of those, so that would be an easy one to fulfill. And then we also have debut novel. So a debut, that will work. I am gonna say that one will include. So like this month, I read A Magic Steeped in Poison and A Venom Dark and Sweet. It's gonna include a series. So if it's a debut series, I will include it. So if it's the second book, I can use that as well. And then we have a bunch of like book to pick, which I have one that's like this, but this is going to be a little bit different than the one I already have in there. The other one is a booktube like video, so I'm going to say that one I can go specifically to whatever video I want. Where this one I'm just going to see what pops up on my feed. And then we also have Instagram pick, so again, what pops up that I actually own, or an excuse to buy a book that I actually want to read. And then I also decided to go ahead and include a book talk pick. I don't really like book talk. I think they're more like the popular books on there that I'm not necessarily as interested in reading, like Colleen Hoover and Sarah J. Maas and such. But I thought it'd be fun just for something different. I have a lot of free picks, but I didn't have any of these, so I'm going to include two of them, and that is a mood read. So the free picks, I can just pick whatever I want in the moment. A mood read is completely, a mood read. So in the moment, if I feel like this month, because I read A Magic Steeped in Poison, I mood read A Venom Dark and Sweet because I just really wanted to continue the series and pick it up. So then, because I do have a lot of series, we have continuous series, so we're going to include that in there as well. And lastly, because I don't really have any prompts that cover this, so I just wanted to include it as a way to pick up more of these. It's manga or graphic novel. I am reading more manga currently. I'm working on the Death Note series. I have the first two in the Spy Family series. I don't really have any graphic novels, but I do want to continue that. So that is all the new prompts. They are in here now, and so they will be part of the game. And let me go ahead and get my game board set up, and then we will see what I end up pulling this month. I'm so excited to do that, so I will be right back. All right, so we're all set up. Just a reminder, I still do have a reward token, so if I have a honey jar prompt I don't want to do, I can use this instead. So that will stay in there. I also have to choose my character first, so if we get a 1, it's Christopher Robin, which is a coming of age or middle grade and younger. If we get a 2, it's classic, or it's Pooh, so it's a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is auto by author or reread. And 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. Last month, I really wanted Christopher Robin. Got Pooh. I even started playing with Christopher Robin. Just had it in my brain. So I'm really kind of leaning towards Christopher Robin. But I would like Rabbit either or. Because Pooh and Piglet we've been getting a lot. So let's hope we can get either Christopher Robin or Rabbit. And then as far as the colored squares go, blue is sci-fi, yellow is historical. I know it says fiction, it can be non-fiction though. Green is fantasy, red is romance, orange is mystery or thriller, purple is any genre. If we land on black, we have to move forward 3 spaces, use the genre for that color, and we also have to pull 2 honey jar prompts. So let's go ahead and start by rolling for a character. So like I said, last month we had Pooh. Let's just hope we can get somebody different this month. I'm rolling again. We're not doing Pooh again. I refuse. So come on, somebody different. Okay, I'll take that. So we got 4, which is Rabbit. So that is a free choice. I can choose any book I want. So go ahead and move Rabbit up there, and we'll get to our pulls. All right, let's see what we can get here. Move around a little bit. I'll go with this one. And it's a green, so that is fantasy. Not moving very far. But there is green. And so we need a fantasy that fits. Oh, put all those new prompts and it's full now. Let's go ahead and go for this one. Ooh! So we have a fantasy and it's the 90s. So it either needs to be published in the 90s, take place in the 90s, something along those lines. That's a fun one. All right, let's see what we get next. Do this one. And it's a purple. So again, not moving very far, but a purple is any genre. So it can be anything, but it needs to fulfill the prompt of, do this one. So black and white, so it can have a black and white cover, maybe have mixed race, something like that. So we'll see what we can find for that. All right, let's see if we can get some more movement here. Go with this one. And another green. It's not back to back, so I only move one. And so another fantasy. Looks like fantasy is going to be the choice of color this month. And we'll go with this one. Ooh, so we got fantasy, but it needs to have a brother-sister dynamic. All right, hopefully we start getting some bigger moves here. Let's see what we got here. Well, one more green, I get to move forward 3, so. And we got a red, so that is a romance, and it only moves us forward 1. Who's kind of in the way there. So that's kind of a bummer. So we need a romance that, let's go with this one. Ooh. So a romance lost and found. So maybe the person searching for something, I mean, they're searching for love. So I can definitely make that one work. We'll see what we could find. All right, come on. Let's hope we get a bigger move here. I'm kind of rooting for black. We can move far. Let's go for this one. And it's an orange, so we only get to move 2. Orange is mystery or thriller. So we need a mystery or thriller that. Go with that one. Okay, so we have Aladdin. So mystery or thriller, the character has a sheltered life. That should be an interesting one to do. Okay, come on. I want bigger moves than this. See what we can get here. Do this one. And it's a purple, so we move 1. This is a rough game, let me tell you. So again, purple is any genre. So it can be any genre, but it needs to have... Okay, so any genre, this is a Big Bad Wolf, so it's dog pick. We've gotten this one multiple times. It always goes back in, because I love my dog picks. So we have that one. We get a green or a purple, we can move forward 2. So let's see what we get here. Yeah, this one. And it's a yellow, but that moves us really far because it gets us to right here. So yellow is historical. So it's a historical that needs to go with this one. Ooh, one of the new ones. So historical with one of the 5 W's. So who, where, when, what, or why. All right. Well, that at least got us a big movement. So let's see if we can get another big movement. Let's go ahead and go this one. So another green. That is our 3rd green. So we get to move 2 spots, which is not much, but it's 1, 2. This is a special square. It says piglet or rabbit to next green. So we actually get to move up here. Because it's a special square, it can be any genre. So it does not have to be fantasy. But let's see what we can get. Which, go with this one. Okay, so any genre, this is Brother Bear, so it's in the woods, so it just has to take place in the woods. That's a great one, and I have several books that I know will work for that. All right, like that we're getting some big moves now. Let's see if we can keep up the momentum. Go with this one. Okay, so another orange, which is mystery or thriller, and it moves us up here. So we need a mystery or thriller that... Go with this one. Okay, so this is Alice in Wonderland, and it's alternate reality, so we'll have to see what I can find for that one. Alright. Let's see what we got here. That one, I guess. And we get a blue, so not moving very far. And blue is sci-fi, so we need a sci-fi that. Oops. I'm not wanting to turn. Go with this one. Ooh. So a sci-fi, we have Autumn Harvest. I'm not sure how those will go together, but we'll see what I can do. All right. Let's see what we got next. And this one. So another yellow, which again is historical. So we need a historical, which go with this one. Oh, so we got Piglet. So historical, and it says face your fears. So maybe one I'm not comfortable with, or the characters facing their fears. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right. So if we get a purple, an orange, or a yellow, we'll get to move forward 2 spaces. So see what we can do. And we get none of those. We get a red, which still moves us a good chunk. So we're right there. So it's a romance, which go with this one. Yay! It's your birthday. So just something that has to do with my birthday, or so it could be published in my birth year. It could be something to do with my birth month. Or it can have a birthday that takes place within it. We'll see what we can find. All right, see what we can get here. This one. So it's red. So it's a back-to-back red. It's also the third red, which doesn't really matter. So we get to go 1 and 2. So another romance that. Go ahead and do this one. Oh, so a romance with a horse rep. I have a lot that would work for that one. So, okay. So we're so close. If we get a black or a red, we're done. Anything else, not quite. So let's see what we can do here. And we get the black. So that puts us here. We move forward. We can't move forward 3. So we just move forward to the very end, which is the blue. It's at the North Pole. So we need a sci-fi, but it has to fulfill 2 prompts. So the first one will be, ooh, nice. So a sci-fi that's a childhood favorite. And also, ooh, okay, they're in disguise. So if I can choose a book that fulfills both of those, then I can just choose one book. Otherwise, I have to choose 2. So I'm going to go ahead and see what I can find, and I will be right back to show you my picks. All right, I'm back. I have my stack chosen. It's quite a hefty one again. I'm really glad I did implement that rule of moving forward 2 spaces if I get doubles or I get 3 of the same color in a game. But even so, it didn't really help out a whole lot. But if I didn't have that rule, it would have been way worse. So still really happy with that. First, we rolled for our character. We did originally roll a 2 for Pooh, but I've been getting Pooh a lot, and so I rolled again, and we got Rabbit, which is a free choice. I still haven't gotten Christopher Robin, so I think next time I might just play Christopher Robin. I won't even roll. I will just play Christopher Robin because I really want to play him and have his prompt to choose from. But we got Rabbit, which is a completely free choice. I chose a book based on another prompt that I fulfilled later on, which I'll talk about. And so I'm going to be reading Cordina's Royal Family, Bennet and Camilla. This is The Playboy Prince and Cordina's Crown Jewel by Nora Roberts. So this is book 3 and 4 in the Cordina Royal Family series. And yeah, definitely a reread. I've already read it multiple times, but I'm excited for it. Like I said, the first two are going to fulfill another prompt later on, and I want to read them together. I'm trying to work my way through my Nora Roberts collection, so I definitely wanted to read them together. So I went ahead and did this as my free choice. So, the Playboy Prince. When it came to women, Prince Bennet could never refuse a challenge, and after meeting quiet, lovely Lady Hannah Rothschild, the dashing playboy couldn't rest until he broke through her careful reserve. Love had always been a game to Bennet, but with this elusive, mysterious woman, he found his heart was on the line, and he was playing for keeps. And then Cordina's crown jewel. For a few blessed weeks, Her Royal Highness Camilla de Cordina could just be plain Camilla McGee, and working in rural Vermont for archaeologist Delaney Kane, devastatingly handsome, utterly cantankerous, offered the perfect refuge. But as her irritation became fascination, then desire, the royal runaway knew she'd have to confess. Would Dell see her as a woman to be loved, or dismiss her as a royal pain? So that one is my favorite out of the series. So I'm really, really looking forward to rereading this. Then we ended up pulling a green, which of course is fantasy, and we got a bookworm, which is the 90s. So I'm really, really excited about that one. And this one was a little bit of a struggle, but I did have this on my shelf. And so it's Slayer, and it's based on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which aired originally in 1997. So definitely consider Buffy part of the 90s. And I'm excited to read something based on that. This is by Kiersten White. I've read Hyde by Kiersten White, but that's the only book I've read. And even though Hyde didn't get good reviews, I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one. So you have Nina and her twin sister Artemis are far from normal. It's hard to be when you grow up at the Watchers Academy, which is a bit different from your average boarding school. Here, teens are trained as guides for slayers, girls gifted with supernatural strength to fight the forces of darkness. But while Nina's mother is a prominent member of the Watchers Council, Nina has never embraced the violent Watcher lifestyle. Instead, she follows her instincts to heal, carving out a place for herself as a school medic until the day Nina's life changes forever. Thanks to Buffy, the famous and infamous Slayer that Nina's father died protecting, Nina is not only the newest chosen one, she's the last Slayer ever, period. As Nina hones her skills with her Watcher and training Leo, there's plenty to keep her occupied. A monster fighting ring, a demon who eats happiness, a shadowy figure that keeps popping up in Nina's dreams. But it's not until the bodies start turning up that Nina's new powers will truly be tested, because someone she loves might be next. One thing is clear, being chosen is easy, making choices is hard. So I'm beyond excited to read this one. I'm really happy that it works out for that prompt. Then we got a purple, which is any genre, doesn't really matter. But we got 101 Dalmatians, so the prompt was black and white. And so this is kind of a little bit more cream, but it works for white enough. So I'm gonna go with Thistlefoot by GennaRose Nethercott. I've been wanting this book for a long time, finally hauled it, and now it's finally time to read it. So, this one, it says the Yaga siblings, Valentine, a young woodworker, and Isaac, a wayfaring street performer and con artist, have been estranged since childhood, separated both by resentment and by wide miles of American highway. But when called to receive a mysterious inheritance, the siblings are reunited, only to discover that their request isn't land or money, but something far stranger, a sentient house on chicken legs. Thistlefoot, as the house is called, has arrived from the Yaga's ancestral home in Eastern Europe, but not alone. A sinister figure known only as the Long Shadow Man has stalked it across continents, bearing violent secrets from the past, fiery memories that have hidden in Isaac and Bellatine's blood for generations, memories that have begun to awaken. As the Yaga siblings embark with Thistlefoot on a cross-country theater tour, the Long Shadow Man follows in relentless pursuit, as do the specters of history, including the forgotten fate of a small chateau and the house's original inhabitant, Baba Yaga, Ultimately, time, magic, and legacy must collide, erupting in a powerful conflagration to determine who gets to remember the past and craft a new future. A sweeping adventure illuminated by Jewish folklore and adorned with lyrical prose as tantalizing and sweet as briar berries. Thistlefoot is an immersive modern fantasy saga by a bold new talent. I'm so excited for this. Like, I wanted to read this for a long time, so this might be one of the earlier ones I pick up for sure. So there's that one. Then let's see here. We got another green, so another fantasy, and we got Hansel and Gretel, which was a brother and sister dynamic. So this one, I wasn't quite sure, but based on the synopsis, I'm gonna go with it. And I chose The Bookeaters by Sunyi. Again, another one I've been wanting to read since it came out, and so I'm really excited to finally get to it. And so it says here, on the Yorkshire moors lives a secret line of people for whom books are food, and who retain all of a book's content after eating it. To them, spy novels are a peppery snack, romance novels are sweet and delicious. Eating a map can help them remember destinations, and children, when they misbehaved, are forced to eat dry, musty pages from dictionaries. Devon is a part of the family, an old and reclusive clan of book eaters. Her brothers grew up feasting on stories of valor and adventure, and Devon, like all book eater women, was raised on a carefully curated diet of fairy tales and cautionary stories. But real life doesn't always come with happy endings, as Devon learns when her son is born with a rare and dark kind of hunger, not for books, but for human minds. So, yeah, since it has that brother aspect mentioned in the synopsis, I'm going to go with it. And I'm really, really excited to get to that one as well. So, I mean, this whole TBR, even though it's large, I'm really, really excited for. Then next we got a red, which is a romance, of course. And this one I thought might be difficult. It really wasn't. So we got Eeyore, which is lost and found. And I know I said when I was doing the gameplay that, you can consider you're searching for love and then you find it. But I found something even better, so I chose Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. This is one of my newest hauls. I got this one and Love in Other Words. This one is the one I'm most interested in because just based on the synopsis, I'm really excited for. Love in Other Words obviously has better ratings, but this is the one I really, really want to read. So this one, growing up the daughter of notorious and notoriously absent treasure hunter Duke Wilder, left Lily without much patience for the profession, or much money in the bank. Using Duke's hand-drawn maps to guide tourists on treasure hunts through the canyons of Utah pays the bills, but isn't enough to buy back the beloved ranch her father sold years ago, and is definitely not enough to deal with the sight of her first love walking back into her life with a motley crew of friends ready to hit the trail. Leo Grady knew mirages were a thing in the desert. When the silhouette of his greatest regret comes into focus in the flickering light of the campfire, Leo realizes he wants nothing more than to reconnect with his first and only love. Unfortunately, Lily draws a clear line in the sand. It's never going to happen. But when the routine trip goes completely sideways, the group wonders if maybe the legend of hidden treasures wasn't a gimmick after all. Alone under the stars in the isolated and dangerous mazes of the Canyonlands, Leo and Lily must decide whether they'll risk their lives and hearts on the adventure of a lifetime. So lost treasure, searching for it, seeing if they find it, not to mention finding love along the way. So that is perfect. I love Eeyore. He's my favorite character. Then let's see here. We got Orange next, which is a mystery or thriller, and we got Aladdin, which is Sheltered Life. And this one, I wasn't sure how I was going to make this work, but I think I did. And so for this one, I chose The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I did watch, I think it's a movie on Netflix based on this, and really, really enjoyed it. So I'll read the synopsis, but it says Anna Fox lives alone, a recluse in her New York City home, so she's sheltered in her home. Unable to venture outside, she spends her days drinking wine, maybe too much, watching old movies, recalling happier times, and spying on her neighbors. Then the Russells move into the house across the way, a father, a mother, their teenage son. The perfect family. But when Anna, gazing out her window one night, sees something she shouldn't, her world begins to crumble, and its shocking secrets are laid bare. What is real? What is imagined? Who is in danger? Who is in control? In this diabolically gripping thriller, no one and nothing is what it seems. So I'm excited to finally read this. I picked it up at the thrift store, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy it. And like I said, I did watch the movie. So then let's see here. Um, so we got another purple, which is again any genre, and we got the Big Bad Wolf, which is dog pick. We've gotten this one before. Every time I pick it, it goes straight back in. All the dog picks, cat picks, and some of the other prompts just go back in. Because I like them so much, I love getting them. So for this one, I'll insert a clip, but I did In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, Vita Nostra. Can't remember the authors of that one. And I also did Notes on the Execution by Danya Kakafka. And as you'll see, Nidra picked
Release. Go ahead.
Notes on the Execution by Danya Kakafka. This is another one. I saw it and I knew this is a book I really, really wanted to pick up. This is another recent haul, and I'm glad to get to it sooner rather than later. So this one, Ansel Packer is scheduled to die in 12 hours. He knows what he's done and now awaits execution, the same chilling fate he forced on those girls years ago. But Ansel doesn't want to die. He wants to be celebrated and understood. Through a kaleidoscope of women, a mother, a sister, a homicide detective, we learn the story of Ansel's life. We meet his mother, Lavender, a 17-year-old girl pushed to desperation. Hazel, twin sister to Ansel's wife, inseparable since birth, forced to watch helplessly as her sister's relationship threatens to devour them all. And finally, Safi, the detective hot on his trail, who has devoted herself to bringing bad men to justice, but struggles to see her own life clearly. As the clock ticks down, these three women shift through the choices that culminate in tragedy, exploring the rippling fissures that such destruction inevitably leaves in its wake. Blending breathtaking suspense with astonishing empathy, Notes on the Execution presents a chilling portrait of womanhood as it simultaneously unravels the familiar narrative of the American serial killer, interrogating our system of justice and our culture, obsession with crime, stories, asking readers to consider the false promises of looking for meaning in the psyches of violent men. So I'm so excited for this one. I'm really glad I was able to get that one on there. And then let's see here. Then we got a yellow, and this is historical, and we got another bookworm, which was the 5W. So this is one of the brand new prompts that I just put in there. And this one was a struggle. I didn't have any historicals with who, what, where, when, or why. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I almost picked up, I got Betty White in Person, which is a book she wrote like back in 1987 or something. I almost picked that one up, thinking, who is Betty White, you know? But I had a book that was even more perfect. I just could not choose it. So I'm going to be going with Alex Trebek. The answer is Reflections on My Life. Obviously he was the host of Jeopardy, and who is, you always have to answer who is or what is. So I mean, it was just too perfect. I had to pick this up. And it's definitely, I would consider it, even though it's like more of a memoir, it's still his history and such. So I count that as being history. And it has all kinds of pictures in it and such. So I'm like really excited for this. So since debuting as the host of Jeopardy in 1984, Alex Trebek has been something like a family member to millions of television viewers, bringing entertainment and education into their homes 5 nights a week. In 2019, he made the stunning announcement that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. What followed was an incredible outpouring of love and kindness. Social media was flooded with messages of support, and the Jeopardy studio received boxes of cards and letters offering guidance, encouragement, and prayers. For more than 3 decades, Trebek has resisted countless appeals to write a book about his life. Yet he was moved so much by all the goodwill, he felt compelled to finally share his story. I want people to know a little more about the person they have been cheering on for the past year, he writes. This book combines illuminating personal anecdotes with Trebek's thoughts on a range of topics, including marriage, parenthood, education, success, spirituality, and philanthropy. Trebek also addresses the questions he gets asked most often by Jeopardy fans, such as what prompted him to shave his signature mustache, his insights on legendary players like Ken Jennings and James Holzhauer, and his opinion of Will Ferrell's Saturday Night Live impersonation. The book uses a novel structure inspired by Jeopardy and features dozens of never-before-seen photos that candidly capture Trebek over the years. This wise, charming, and inspiring book is further evidence of why Trebek has long been considered one of the most beloved and respected figures in entertainment. So I'm really excited. I found this again at a thrift store and had to pick it up. So really, really excited to be able to read that one. Then let's see here. We got green, which was the third green we pulled, so we got to move forward 2 spots. And then it was a special square because then we got to move forward rabbit or piglet got to move forward to the next green. So it's a special square, so it does not have to be fantasy. It can be any genre. And we got Brother Bear, which was in the woods. And I was so glad it was a special square and it could be any genre because another book I've been wanting to read for a while now, and that is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. It takes place in Alaska. I mean, you can see just all the trees, very wooded area. So, you have Calla Fletcher wasn't even 2 when her mother took her and fled Alaska. Unable to handle the isolation of the extreme rural lifestyle, leaving behind Calla's father, Ren Fletcher, in the process. Calla never looked back, and at 26, a busy life in Toronto is all she knows. But when Calla learns that Ren's days may be numbered, she knows that it's time to make the long trip back to the remote frontier town of her birth to attempt to fix their estranged relationship. She braves the roaming wildlife, the odd daylight hours, the exorbitant prices, and even the occasional, dear God, outhouse, all for the chance to connect with her father, a man who, despite his many faults, she can't help but care for. While she struggles to adjust to this rugged new environment, Jonah, the unkempt, obnoxious Alaskan pilot who helps keep her father's charter plane company operational, can't imagine calling anywhere else home, and he's clearly waiting with one hand on the throttle to fly this city girl back to where she belongs, convinced that she's too pampered to handle the wild. Jonah is probably right, but Calla, determined to prove him wrong as time passes, is determined to prove him wrong. As time passes, she unexpectedly finds herself forming a bond with the burly pilot. As his undercurrent of disapproval dwindles, it's replaced by friendship, or perhaps something deeper. But Calla is not in Alaska to stay, and Jonah will never leave. It'd be foolish for her to kindle a romance, to take the same path her parents tried and failed at years ago. It's a simple truth that turns out to be not so simple after all. So, yeah, I know I'm going to love this book. If I don't, it will be a big shock. So I'm really, really excited to get that on my TBR as well. Then let's see here. We got another orange, so another mystery or thriller. And we got Alice in Wonderland Alternate Reality. So this one, again, kind of struggled. Most mystery or thrillers don't really take place in an alternate reality. But there was a series that I read for my 24 Days of Bookmas that I wanted to continue. I read the first 2 books. Each book is very, very chunky. This one's like 749 pages. And each book is really, really chunky. But it's Tad Williams' Otherland series. And this one is the third one, Mountain of Black Glass. And they're in like this virtual reality. And there's a lot of like Alice in Wonderland inspired fairy tale or like nursery rhyme inspired things in this alternate reality. And there's kind of this mystery of this secret brotherhood that has created this reality, and like the characters are trapped there. They can't get out, and she's also searching for her brother. And so she's been searching for him, trying to figure out where he is because these kids are disappearing in the real world. And so the main character goes into this reality to try to figure out what's going on. And so there's this big mystery. And it's kind of scary because they're kind of being chased and such. So there is kind of that thriller element there too. It's like sci-fi meets mystery meets thriller. Really, really cool series. And I really enjoyed the first two books. I just didn't continue the series because they're so chunky and I had a lot of books each month. So I'm glad to get this officially on the TBR, and then hopefully I can get the last book on a future TBR as well because really, really, and it has a lot of elements that I don't typically like that I absolutely love. Like the writing is fantastic. So that's what I chose for that prompt. Then, see, so then we got Blue, which is sci-fi, and we got Rabbit, which is autumn harvest. And I do like this prompt, but trying to combine it with sci-fi, I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use my reward token. I got this one in March for completing my March TBR. Um, and so the reward token means I don't have to do the honey jar prompt. I just have to fulfill the genre. And so for this one, I'm going to read the last book I have in the Lunar Chronicles series, which is Stars Above. It's just a collection of stories that go along with the Lunar Chronicles. This is by Marissa Meyer. I'm going to be reading Ferris. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to be reading Ferris in June. And so this will be the last book, and then I will have completed the Lunar Chronicles, so I'll be completing a series with this one. The Lunar Chronicles, basically, it's based kind of fairy tale, and it's sci-fi slash fantasy slash romance, because it's based on fairy tales. But in the first one, you have Cinder, and she's a cyborg. And you also have the lunar people, so you have Levina, who is the lunar queen, and Prince Kai, who is the emperor of the Commonwealth. And then along the way, you have all these other characters intermingling. So the second book is based on Scarlet, and you have Wolf, and then you have the third book is Cress, which is Rapunzel, and Captain Thorn. And then you have the last book is Winter, which is of course based on Snow White and one of her guards, Jason. And so it's really this really cool series. And so this is kind of a little bit backstory. I think it has Carson's backstory, or Captain Thorn, and just other little stories in there to kind of round out the Lunar Chronicles. So really, really excited for that one. Then let's see here. Then we got a yellow, so another historical, and this one was Piglet and it's Face Your Fears, because Piglet's scared of everything but tries so hard anyway. And so for this one, again, another book I'm so excited for. I can't say that enough this video because all these books I've been wanting to read and I am so ready to read them. So we have The Five by Hallie Rubenhold, and this is the untold lives of the women killed by Jack the Ripper. So it's all about the 5 women that Jack the Ripper killed. So I'm so ready to read this. This is probably another one I'll pick up earlier in the month rather than later because I really wanted to read it. So there's that one. Then we got, let's see here. So this one was really hard. I didn't expect it to be so hard. But we got another red, so this is romance. And we got a bookworm, and it's your birthday. I was so excited about this prompt when I created it. It was a lot harder to fulfill than I thought. So this is where my free choice comes into play. One of these books was published in my birth year. So that's how I got this, like, trying to think, my birthday's in September. Is there anything that revolves around September? And I just really, really struggled, especially finding a romance specifically. So yeah, I'm gonna pick this one up because the one was published in my birth year. The other one was published the year before. But this is Cordina's royal family. This is Gabriella and Alexander. So first you have Affair Royale. She escaped, but she lost her memory and her kidnappers were still on the loose. Now Princess Gabriella needed a protector fast, and brash American Reed McGee was the perfect man for the job. The handsome ex-policeman could handle absolutely anything except falling in love with the stunning, vulnerable woman in his care. and then command performance. Years ago, she had a momentary schoolgirl crush on Prince Alexander, who was powerful, reserved, compelling, but clearly disapproved of her. Now Eve Hamilton was every inch a woman, and Alex discovered he wanted to show her he was all she could ever want in a man. So that's the first two stories in that series. Really excited to reread both of those. And then we got another red. So this was back to back, and it was also the third red we pulled. So we got to move two. So again, another romance, and this one was Spirit. So we need a horse rep. And there was a couple I could have gone with. There was another Nora Roberts I could have gone with. I have a couple others, but I decided to go with the Husband Tree, which is the second book in the Montana Marriages series. I'm going to be reading the first book in June. Again, haven't read it yet, but I'm planning on it. And this is by Mary Connolly. These are Christian fiction. And so I thought, yeah, it's kind of cattle ranch. So obviously there's horses and it's set in the past. So they use horses, to kind of gather up the cattle, round them up and such. So it says, standing over her third no-account husband's grave, Belle Tanner makes a vow, no more men. Now all she needs to do is to get her cattle to market before winter sets in. But there's no one around except the drifter Silas Harden, and Belle is such a poor judge of men that she can't decide if he is worth hiring on. Silas just escaped a shotgun wedding, only to lose his money, his ranch, and his pride. Although he's determined never to tangle up with women folk again, Belle and her four daughters seem to bring out the protector in him, and he can't seem to stop kissing Belle senseless. When a group of cowpokes, along with a white woman raised by the Shoshone, show up along the drive, Belle has her hands full. Can she keep her oldest daughter and glowing son away from no good cow hands, and herself out of Silas's arms? Will anyone get through this treacherous cattle drive unscathed and unhitched? So, sounds like a fun time, and it definitely has that kind of Western, old time vibes with them riding horses and gathering up and rounding up cattle and such. So, should be a good time. Then we landed on our last space, which was black. So that's the last black. There's can't move forward 3, so we just move forward 2 to the last square, which is blue, and that's sci-fi. And for this one, because it was a black, we have to pull 2. So first we got the Mickey Mouse Gang, and so this was going to be a childhood favorite. And then we also got The Princess and the Frog, and this is In Disguise. So, combining, if I'm able to combine both of those, I can just choose one book. If I'm not, then I have to choose 2 books. Now, neither one of these really worked for sci-fi. Not that I had any childhood. I had a couple. I had like The Giver. I think is technically considered sci-fi. And A Wrinkle in Time is I would consider more fantasy, but because they go to other planets and such, it could probably be considered sci-fi. But I read those fairly recently, and I didn't want to read either one of those again. So I decided my rules, if I can't fulfill the genre and the prompts, I just need to fulfill the Honey Jar prompts. And I actually had a book for the Honey Jar prompts that worked well, and it's a picture book, so it's gonna shorten my TBR a little bit. So I'm gonna go with Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. I absolutely love this story growing up. My mom even bought me the movie when it came out because I love this so much. I would just reread it, reread it, reread it. And it's a childhood favorite, and he's disguised himself as a monster. So it works perfectly for both prompts, even though it's not a sci-fi. And so yeah, you basically have Max, I think is his name, and he's a monster and he wants to be wild, and he goes on this adventure and he pretends to be a monster, and then he gets sad and he has to go home because he misses his mom and such. So it's such a cute little story, and like I said, I'll make my my TBR short and sweet. So not really, but at least it's not an extra big book. I can read that, in less than half an hour, 15 minutes maybe, and then move on to a different book. So it's really not going to take up any extra time. So that is all for my TBR prompts. Now I do genre-a-thon. I didn't mention at the beginning of the video, I forgot, but this month it is time for vacation, so to read an action adventure book or a travel book, I'm going to be reading A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. This isn't quite outside of my comfort zone. I really love this book, but it's supposed to be really like a funny, and that is outside my comfort zone. I don't generally read like books with humor, and when I do, I don't typically tend to enjoy them. But as far as like the nature aspect and the conservation aspect, I enjoy books like that. Travel, I don't read as much travel books, but this one says back in America after 20 years in Britain, Bill Bryson decided to reacquaint himself with his native country by walking the 2,100-mile Appalachian Trail, which stretches from Georgia to Maine. The AT offers an astonishing landscape of silent forests and sparkling lakes, and to a writer with the comic genius of Bill Bryson, it also provides endless opportunities to witness the majestic silliness of his fellow human beings. For a start, there's the glorious out of shape Stephen Katz, a buddy from Iowa, along for the walk. But a walk in the woods is more than just a laugh out loud hike. Bryson's acute eye is a wise witness to this beautiful but fragile trail, and as he tells its fascinating history, he makes a moving plea for the conservation of America's last great wilderness. An adventure, a comedy, and a celebration, A Walk in the Woods is a modern classic of travel literature. So it works perfect. Adventure and travel, and I'm really really excited for it. So there's that one. So that's it as far as the books that I really have specifically on my TBR. I am still working on Little Women. I'm hoping to make more progress in June, but June is kind of a busy month, so I'm not sure how much progress I'll make on this. So this is just going to continue to roll over, and then depending on whether I get to them in June or not, I also still have Eve by W.M. Paul Young and Who is the River by Paul Zallis. Last two ABC Author Challenge books, but I still haven't gotten to them. So these will likely roll over, but I'm going to try to at least get to one of them in June. So we will see if I'm able to do that. So that is it. So that's what, 15, 16 books plus those three. So definitely doable. I read 19 books in May, and especially with the Where the Wild Things Are, that doesn't really count, so it's more like 18 books. But we'll see how it goes, and I'm beyond excited for all of these, so it should be a really really great month. Let me know if you, I know this video kind of comes out earlier, so you might not have your July TBR, but if you do, let me know what book you might be excited to pick up in July. Let me know if you're interested in any of these or if you've read any of them, and I will go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.